Mommy Track Daddy Whispers podcast is now called Birth Agni Podcast.
Hey, good morning. How's your morning cup of tea? And if you're having an evening cup of coffee, I hope it keeps you warm and motivated for the rest of the day. I was over the last couple of days reading some research conducted in the last 1 decade where the importance of perinatal emotional health for men was discussed. One of the studies talked about the significance of a family's emotional health on the child's emotional and neural development. And it kind of, triggered me because I've been trying to go after men and talk about their experiences, how they've felt during pregnancy and postpartum. So, men undergo a different phase of emotional turmoil. And not all men go through that. But some of them who do, it is very difficult for them to express themselves as our society, pretty much does not talk about it. So, fathers, today we are going to discuss you and your role in pregnancy. No, we are rather going to talk about you and how you feel during pregnancy. So, first thing first, pregnancy overwhelms us all. We humans live in a magical world where we constantly deny its capacities over our capabilities. And when we become pregnant, the excitement to see nature create magic through us is kind of subconsciously perplexing to us. So, fathers, if any one of you is listening to me right now, know that the name of this podcast has daddy in it. You are so wonderful, and your emotional state is equally important to help render the best parenting ecosystem to your lovely little souls. And just to put in there are two wonderful conversations with fathers lined up in the upcoming episodes. So, if you subscribe or if you've already subscribed, you will be notified. So let us talk about how men feel. I know this from my own husband's experience, who is otherwise less talkative, but I get him to speak. I know this from friends, I know this from conversations where I bring up the need to talk about perinatal mental health for men too. Fathers, what you may feel when it seems that your wife is expecting and not you. You may feel like a spectator and not a participant. You may feel helplessness at not being able to help your wife with her symptoms. You may be worried for your wife, how she carrying all that weight. She must be uncomfortable. She is not able to sleep. All these feelings can feel enormous. You may be worried about the finances after the expansion of the family. You may be worried about the new life and the need of support, especially in case of nuclear families. And you may not be able to express yourself. You may be feeling that you really should not be feeling like this because you aren't really doing anything. So, you may have an inclination to suppress your own feelings. You may be anxious if the baby is developing well because your wife constantly feels things but you don't. Anxiousness may be there. So, I'm glad to bring this here that it also helps to know that feeling like that is normal. You have a role in pregnancy, fathers, and there is no way that role is less of a functional role. And let's talk about it. Let's talk how you can get involved. You can help your partner around the household chores. That is a great deal of help, trust me. Discuss your future plans, your finances, especially during the pregnancy phase with your partner. Your partner may still be unsure whether they want to go back to work or not. And it's okay. You cannot be sure at that point in time. It helps to discuss how can you both work together in managing finances. It helps for you to foresee what challenges lie ahead. What can you do now to bridge that gap if there is any? And it also, specifically, even if nothing is solved or sorted out right during the pregnancy phase, which most likely it will not, it helps to create a channel of communication on these topics. It gets really, really difficult to open a channel on these discussions later in the new postpartum phase because both your focus will shift to the baby. And the burden of creating a channel after the baby usually gets delayed. So that task will get delayed and it will be stressful. If not for your wife because she's busy, it may be for you. The initial postpartum phase is pretty lopsided. So, another thing that you can do is you can go to prenatal visits with your wife. You can ask questions. And even if you may feel less involved because maybe the doctor may be focused on your wife or your partner, but you can still, be there, ask questions, and make it normal to be involved. Sometimes the doctors do not involve you right then, but if you keep asking questions, they will be compelled to involve you. So it's important to be incorporated into the discussions because you have a significant role to play. And trust me, that will make you more equipped. You will be able to better comprehend what's happening to your wife. If that really is as, uncomfortable as you may presume, what can you do to help her? You can massage her, you can help her walk around. What you can do as a partner to help her out, all that is discussed in prenatal classes. So it will really help bring the stress levels down. Plus, if there is a signal to catch, if there's something off, if your partner is not able to, catch that or see that, since you've been to all these prenatal classes, you have the right education, you can pretty much keep these things in check. You can buy books for her, you can support her in the family decisions when probably you guys have a different set of imagination and others in the family have a different set of imaginations. You can help smoothen that gap. You can help support her choices, your choices, and explain your choices, like we discussed in the initial few episodes in family dynamics. And that goes a long, long way in strengthening the parenting bond already. So if you feel confused, a little too anxious, disturbed, speak with your friends. There are postpartum support groups out there for men where they help you throughout the perinatal period. And I will link all of that in the description box. When you know how important your presence is during pregnancy, and it is, trust me, your emotional support is very significant, you will feel less overwhelmed. And research says, like I discussed when we started this episode, that your presence matters to the child's emotional development. And that makes sense, right? In the parenting episodes of season 1, we talked about managing kids, and the prerequisite was to manage yourself first. Unless you take care of your emotional health, it will reflect onto how you deal with your children. For example, yesterday I was out of my emotional energy. I was extremely drained out, physically as well, and I was not able to handle Divi. I was anxious, she became anxious, and anxiousness was all over the house, and nothing came out of it. So that happens. When you feel anxious, you react. You are out of your emotional energy, like I was yesterday. And that becomes a vicious cycle. The reaction propels more reaction from the child, and the settlements become difficult. And it may invite abuse, if not physical, verbal. So, the purpose of this episode here is to talk about um, how important it is that the entire family's emotional health is in check to provide the best circumstances for your child to develop. Feeling off once in a while is also very significant. I believe that because if you're never introduced to those feelings that your parents can feel such too, your parents can react too. Because when the child grows up and goes out to the real world, the real world may be very, very different from what you've provided. What you've provided is the strength that they will rely on for all their life. But when they know that this can happen, they're better prepared to accept that in future. So the purpose of this episode primarily is to bring focus to emotional health of both the parents. Provide little tools to help manage stress, seek help when needed, and talk to our partners about it and anybody you may find you're comforted. So I would leave you on that note and highly encourage you, fathers and partners, to talk to your peers, supporters, those who have been through this phase. Share your feelings. Know that your role is very significant and you have a role to play. Sometimes we do not know what we can do, and that is a situation That is extremely stressful. But there's something that you can do about it. You can get up, go to prenatal classes, ask your friends what you can do, ask your partner how you can help them sail through. Discuss your emotions, and that will bring down half the hill. And you wouldn't have to, climb that time and again in your pregnancy and postpartum journey. Also, make sure when you share your feelings with people, you share it with people who provide you the right wisdom so that you're able to accept and praise the nurturing value of the new phase of life that you are into. If you go and express yourself to somebody who's already, pretty much sad about it, who's not able to help you cope up with it, it may actually propel you into the wrong direction. So you need to be with somebody who gives you the right wisdom to go through this phase. And parenting heals you. Parenting heals you somewhere down the line. And I talk about it all the time, everywhere. Parenting heals you. And if you do not have that, comfort in anybody, you can definitely come to this podcast. We have our conversation with fathers lined up for the upcoming episodes. We'll keep bringing fathers in the subsequent episodes. So yes, there will be a lot of talk with the fathers, how they've felt, how they've dealt with things. If you have a question to submit for our conversation with fathers, please feel free to do that. If you like listening to us, please subscribe, download, and share. Tell a friend, share your stories, write to me, talk to us. And remember, you got the bar. Keep listening.